It's honestly #wild how quickly the media can flip the narrative when it suits them. 1 minute, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are public enemies, and the next they are being framed as tragic figures in need of our redemption. And smack in the middle of this media shuffle, Prince William suddenly painted as the cold, heartless brother standing in the way of peace. But let's be real here. Why is the mainstream media bending over backward to paint Harry as some misunderstood hero who deserves a royal welcome mat? It's not like Harry and Meghan quietly exited the royal stage. They didn't slip away for a peaceful life in California. No, they blew up bridges, aired royal family secrets on primetime interviews, accused the monarchy of racism, and dumped on nearly every senior royal from Queen Elizabeth to Queen Camilla. And now we're being told that William's the problem, because he won't roll out the red carpet and pretend none of that ever happened. Come on. There's this headline that really set the tone. Prince William must bring Harry in from the cold to stop the Sussexes seeking revenge. Are we serious? Since when is it William's job to babysit a fully grown man who willingly torched his royal ties and ran straight into the arms of Netflix and Oprah? This is a guy who made a multi-million-dollar brand out of painting himself as a victim while #ging his own family through the mud. And yet, like clockwork, here comes the media spin machine, acting like it's William's duty to fix it all. Even outlets like the Daily Express and The Sun, who used to rip Harry apart, are now #ing this soft focus fantasy about reconciliation. Charles is suddenly the heartbroken father desperate to reconnect, and William's being framed as the stubborn unfailing bar #ear to healing. Let's just pause right there. What exactly has Harry done to earn a seat back at the royal table? Is there an apology we all missed? Did he take accountability for accusing his family of being racists? For suggesting his own father plotted to cut off his security in a way that endangered his life? Oh, and let's not forget his attacks on Camilla, which reportedly cut so deep it was the last straw for King Charles. Yet somehow Charles is now expected to just suck it up for the cameras. And William is cast as the villain for refusing to play along. What's really going on here is textbook media gaslighting, and people are starting to catch on. A lot of royal fans, actual followers who've been watching his drama unfold for years, aren't buying the sudden push to make Harry look like the prodigal son. They remember how Meghan and Harry treated the late Queen, how they used their titles for profit, how they tried to rewrite their story while making the rest of the royals out to be monsters. So, why the shift? Well, the media thrives on for #ICT, and the Meghan and Harry's villains arc is getting stale. Evie Arion's tired of that storyline. So, now they are switching it up, recasting William as the bad guy to keep the drama going. It's profitable. It's clickbait. And unfortunately, it's dragging the future king through the mud for the sake of ratings. Let's be clear, William isn't the one making shady Netflix deals. He's not the one leaking stories or turning private family drama into content. He's doing his job, staying committed to the monarchy and protecting his wife and kids from more chaos. And for that, he's being vilified. The whole thing's upside down. Prince William's refusal to play on with the Harry rehabilitation campaign isn't coming from bitterness. It's coming from self-preservation for his family, his children, and the monarchy itself. He knows the cost of letting someone back in who's made betrayal their personal brand. And it's not just about old wounds. It's about current behavior. Why hasn't changed. He's still pulling the same stunts, staging spontaneous media leaks, orchestrating strategic appearances that suspiciously align with royal events, and dropping cryptic statements through anonymous friends in the press. Take that latest so-called peace meeting. It didn't even meet Charles in person. It was his team who met with the king's aides. Yet somehow it got twisted into a touching reunion storyline. And hashtag where did that narrative come from? Not Buckingham Palace, not Kensington. It came straight from Harry's media orbit. That's the game. Manufacture headlines, T-Hen hashtag let sympathetic journalists do the rest. And look who's helping carry the water. Charlotte Griffith, once seen as a neutral player, is suddenly the front-runner in pushing Harry hashtag friendly pieces. She's not Scobie-level messy, but she's echoing the same talking points. Harry wants peace. William must open the door. Kyles is trying his best. It's all perfectly orch hashtag istrated. Like there's a memo circulating behind closed doors telling every royal correspondent to pivot hard toward forgiveness. It's not organic. It feels engineered. But here's the issue. The British public hasn't forgotten. I remember the Oprah interview. They remember the Netflix docu-series. They remember the book deals. The passive-aggressive digs. Hashtag not so subtle threats. The veiled jabs at Catherine and Camilla. And when you think about it, no one has taken more hits than Queen Camilla. That's when Charles finally snapped. That was the one line Harry should have known hashtag never to see Ross, but he did. And now he's acting confused about why the door won't open. There's this idea being floated that if Meghan is cut out of the picture, people might be willing to let Harry back in. But let's not kid ourselves. Harry was never a puppet. He wasn't dragged along reluctantly, he drove that narrative. He doubled down again and again. Meghan distraction tactic might have worked in the early days, but not anymore. People see through it. Harry's fingerprints are all over the chaos, and hashtag the public knows it. That's why William's stance matters. He's drawing a line, not out of spite, but because someone has to. There has to be a consequence. If you IP apart your family on live TV, and make millions off their pain, their hashtag no strolling back in for tea and photo ops like nothing happened. Hashtag hat's delusional, and William's the only one willing to say it. Meanwhile, the media keeps trying to paint Charles as the peacemaker, the loving father, the grieving dad who just wants his sons to reunite. But even that image is falling apart. Mull hashtag typal sources have confirmed Charles still refuses to be in the same room as Harry. The only meeting that happened was between staffers. That's not reconk hashtag iliation. It's damage control. It's optics. And let's not forget, Charles is just a father. He's a monarch. His first duty is to he crown. Bringing Harry back into the royal fold sends the worst possible message. You can attack the institution, undermine it publicly, and still be welcomed back, because of sentiment. That's not leadership. That's weakness. And William knows the monarchy can't hashtag afford to be weak right now. Not with the Queen gone, not with public trust wearing the hashtag N, and definitely not with Harry playing PR chess every time the spotlight fades. The image the public sees now hashtag wouldn't be more divided. On one side, you've got Prince William, focused, hashtag howling up for duty, representing the monarchy with consistency and dignity. On the other side, Harry popping up when convenient. Often looking tired, disheveled, and to be blunt, lost. You see it in the photos. You hear it in the way he speaks, rambling, hashtag distracted, always seeming like he's either chasing a new purpose, or running from his own past. People are noticing the difference, and they're tired of pretending the two brothers are even operating in the same universe anymore. William is raising the next king. Harry is chasing hashtag Hollywood relevance. William is attending charity events, military commemorations, global climate initiatives. Harry is doing podcast appear hashtag answers, brand launches, and awkward photo ops that scream PR stunt. The contrast couldn't be clearer. That's why so many royal watchers have been pushing back against the media's narrative reset. It's not that people are rooting for #a never-ending feud between brothers. It's that people want accountability. They want recognition that words have weight, that family betrayal isn't just something you sweep under the rug for the sake of a headline. And they absolutely don't want to see William punished for having boundaries. Even as coverage ramps up about the supposed olive branches, the same old tactics are playing out. Leaks to the press, conveniently timed appearances, sympathetic PX dripping with emotional manipulation. And Meghan, she's been mostly quiet in this cycle, which is likely strategic. The spotlight's now fully on Harry, and the PR teams are banking on that. If they can spin him as the prodigal son, remorseful, misunderstood, they think people will forget the damage. But people haven't forgotten, especially not about the Queen. That's a wound that #LL stings for a lot of Brits. In her final months, the Queen was under immense stress. The family was fractured. The Sussexes were launching attacks left and right. And many feel that the tension and chaos Harry helped create robbed Queen Elizabeth of peace in her last days. That's not something a photo op in Africa or charity handshake erases. That's lasting. And then there's the issue of Queen Camilla. Harry's public attacks on her struck a nerve that still hasn't healed. He didn't just criticize her role. He vilified her. And for Charles, that wasn't just disrespectful. It was unforgivable. Whatever chance existed for a slow thaw between father and son melted the second Camilla became a target. That was the final line, and Harry crossed it with both feet. So when media paints Charles as the doting dad and Harry as the poor strange son, they are skipping over the part where trust was shattered on a global stage. They are ignoring how many family members were hurt, not just privately, but publicly, deliberately, and #ith profit. This isn't just a matter of family drama. It's a matter of Roy #all credibility. And if Charles really is considering letting Harry back in, if that's truly the endgame #, it comes at a cost. Not just to his reputation, but to the institution itself. Because once you welcome back someone who's built a brand on trashing the family, you show the entire world that loyalty is optional, that betrayal is forgivable if it brings attention. That's not a monarchy people can respect. So maybe that's why people are rallying behind William. Not because he's perfect, not because he's bitter, but because he's standing firm when it's not #easy. Because he knows the difference between peace and appeasement. And because he's sometimes doing what's right for the future